Okay, so today we are back and today we're doing another story time ghost telling stories. So if you guys like these types of videos or if you prefer more true crime or just actual ghost storytelling where I don't read, just let me know in the comments below and we'll be making more of that content for you guys. So this one is called Grandma. One night, I must have been about 5 or 6, I woke up in the middle of the night and felt uneasy. I was never a good sleeper and would call for my mom if I felt sick, so that's what I did. I called for her and then noticed someone in the corner in a white nightgown and holding what looked like a mug. I genuinely thought it was my mother and asked, "Mom, what are you doing in the corner?" The figure did not move. I asked it again and when I had no response, I just went straight back to bed. You'd think such a thing would scare a little kid, but I just felt a sense of peace about it all. Then years later, I must have been about 19 years old, I saw a psychic. I remember that night, but thought it was just sleepy, imaginative kid brain until this psychic woman repeated the events of that night back to me. You woke up in the middle of the night, someone dressed in white was in your room in the corner, you thought it was your mother and you tried to speak to it, then peacefully went back to sleep. She then said, "It was your grandmother, the one who you are named after, and she was there to let you know she's looking after you." I've heard so many stories about loved ones coming back to see their family members just to let them know. I know my parents have had that happen to them actually quite a bit. My mom's mom ended up passing away, and there was this thing she liked to do. She would make these noises with pots and pans, and every now and then they really do hear these noises, even though it's like in the back of their minds. So I definitely believe things like that do happen. Okay, story number 2 is called Kitchen Encounter. I saw my deceased ex-husband in my kitchen. I was watching TV in my living room in the middle of the day and kept hearing this sound, like someone was jiggling their change around, and it was loud, as if it were in the room with me. I paused my TV, yet the sound persisted. So I started to look around the room, and when I got to the kitchen, I saw him standing there. He was looking around as if taking stock of my apartment. Oh, and he was jiggling the change in one hand while flipping a quarter in between his fingers with the other hand, something he did a lot when he was alive. He turned his head and saw me frozen, staring at him. The expression on his face was new. I would never forget. His eyes got huge, and he kind of tilted his head forward with the expression like, "You can see me?" I don't know how long we stared at each other for, but I turned away, and when I started to hear my cat ripping up the carpet again in the other room, when I turned back to my ex, he was gone. It's worth noting that he had only been dead for a couple months too. Some Romanian woman I worked with told me that the dead stick around for 3 months before crossing over. I don't know about all that, but I do know without a shadow of a doubt what I saw that day. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. Okay, so our next story comes from Reddit and it's called A Haunting. I met a girl a long time ago, like close to 20 years ago. We hung out on and off, nothing significant really, just as friends and told stories about our lives and other stupid stuff. After a while, she told me a story about a house she used to live in a neighboring city. She told me about how she'd experienced the same thing, the same haunting every few nights. Her bedroom was upstairs, and the kitchen and dining room, a bathroom, and another bedroom were in the basement. Easiest way to access them was through the garage. That's how everyone came inside anyway. No one used the actual front door upstairs. Anyway, in the middle of the night, she'd hear someone enter through the garage and go into the kitchen. They were basically attached. The faucet would turn on, and a bowl or something would crash into the sink. The water would stop. The footsteps would continue through the dining room and to the staircase. It was a mini spiral staircase that led to the living room. Her bedroom was attached to it. Then the footsteps would stop halfway up. It was only about 10 steps before the top, but she said she'd always stop at that point. When she told me this, I panicked. I asked her the address. It was the same house I'd lived in as a kid 4 years before she did. And I experienced the exact same thing. Only I never told a single person about it. Not my parents, my brothers, my friends, no one. Yet she described it perfectly, step by step and room by room. That house was always weird, even before my own experience, but never have I ever shared a haunting moment like that. Okay, our last story for today is called Pizza Delivery Hell. The summer after I graduated high school, I got a job delivering pizza to help save money for college. I had a lot of run-ins with some pretty weird characters, but nothing like what happened this one night. It was Friday night. We delivered pizzas until 3 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. It was 2:45 a.m. and we were preparing to close when our manager said we got a call for a delivery at a place almost 20 minutes away. Being the desperate for money teenager I was, I offered to do the delivery. This was before smartphones had GPS, so I used the Garmin. I plugged in the address and off I went. The Garmin took me deep into the backwoods of rural Texas. I finally arrived to my destination. The house looked like something in a horror movie. Big wooden, two-story house with no lights on. The first thing I noticed about the house was that the front door was wide open. I sat in my car for a few minutes debating on turning back and claiming no one was home. Something just didn't feel right. Yeah, I would probably get out of there. I needed the tip money, so I sucked it up and approached the house. When I got to the open front door, I didn't enter. Instead, I knocked. No one answered. I knocked again as loud as I could. No response. I finally got the courage to say something. Pizza delivery, anyone home? There was a few seconds of silence until I heard a weird voice. Upstairs! I walked in the house and could barely make out my surroundings because it was so dark. I made it to the bottom of the stairs and looked up into the dark abyss. Again I said, pizza delivery. The voice spoke again. Come upstairs, I can't get out of bed. Something was very off about this voice. It didn't sound normal. The best I can describe it is if a dog somehow learned to talk but still had trouble pronouncing human words. The hair stood up on the back of my neck. There was no way I was going up there. The tip wasn't worth it. I placed the pizza at the bottom of the stairs and shouted, I'm leaving it here at the bottom of the stairs. Have a good night. As I turned away, the voice said, No, come upstairs. I can't get out of bed. I replied, I'm sorry, I'm not even allowed to enter someone's home on the job. You'll have to come get it. I heard some loud banging coming from upstairs with the voice shouting at full volume, Come upstairs. I can't come out of bed. The voice shouted this over and over again like it was recording on a loop. The banging got louder and louder as the voice got louder as well. I noped out of there at full speed, and to this day I have no idea what happened in that house. This is pretty creepy. I feel like this could have been maybe like someone that was pretty sick and actually couldn't get out of bed. Maybe they were slightly senile, maybe they were grumpy old people, maybe they were getting really sick and were losing their voice. I don't know, it's hard to tell without being there. But definitely a creepy story that would have creeped me out too. So that does it for today's video. If you like these types of videos where I do storytelling, let me know in the comments below. I've also included an email address in the description box where you guys can send me your own creepy stories, and I'll do a video on those and give you all a shout out. So until next time, please subscribe and I will see you on the next video.